Good afternoon. Welcome to Math for Kids number
109.
109. Today we're just going to keep going with our fun little logic puzzles. Okay, and I'm sorry I didn't have a lot of room on the board for this. But we have three people. Person 1, person 2, and person 3. And they're an astronaut, a builder, and a carpenter. But we don't know which one is which. In fact, the way we've arranged them, your little astronaut guy might not actually be the astronaut. But we'll see. Okay, and we only have two clues here. The astronaut is an only child and earns the least.
Money.
The least amount of money, yep. Okay, so the astronaut is an only child and earns the least. Person number 3 is married to person number 1's sister and earns more than the builder. Okay?
Which I happen to have right here.
Okay, well we don't need the fourth guy. Okay, the astronaut is an only child and earns the least. Person number 3 is married to person number 1's sister and earns more than the builder. So the question is, who's who? Which one is the astronaut, which one's the builder, and which one's the carpenter? Okay? With only these two clues. The astronaut is an only child and earns the least. Number 3 is married to number 1's sister and earns more than the builder. Okay? So what can you tell me? These are pretty tricky clues. We got this problem off the internet, by the way.
Yeah. Pretty tricky.
Okay. The astronaut is an only child and earns the least. Number 3 is married to number 1's sister and earns more than the builder.
There's not a lot of clues.
There's a lot of clues, actually. It's the opposite. There's a ton of clues hiding in there. They're just hard to pick out.
Well, the astronaut earns the least.
Okay, the astronaut earns the least. Okay, so can the astronaut be number 3? Can number 3 be... Why not?
Because number 3 earns more than the builder.
Number 3 earns more than the builder. So number 3 is not the astronaut. Okay? Can person number 1 be the astronaut? What do we know about the astronaut?
It earns the least.
What else do we know about the astronaut?
It's an only child.
The astronaut's an only child. What do we know about person number 1? Read this
Person
clue.
number 1 has a sister.
Person number 1 has a sister. So can person number 1 be an only child?
No.
Why not?
Because he has a sister.
Aha. So what did we just learn? Person number 3 is not the astronaut, and person number 1 is not the astronaut.
So person number 2 is the astronaut.
Person number 2 is the astronaut. Well, no, don't switch them, because I'll just draw a line. Person number 2 is the astronaut.
Okay.
Okay? And now that we figured that out, see if you can figure out, is number 1 the builder or is number 3 the builder?
Number 1 and number 3. Well, so the astronaut earns the least.
The astronaut earns the least. That's true. But we have to figure out between number 1 and number 3, who's the builder and who's the carpenter.
This guy's the builder.
Why?
Because he earns more than the builder.
Number 3 earns more than the builder. So number 1 must be the builder.
Yep.
Because we know number 3 can't be the builder.
Yep.
So what does that make number 3?
The carpenter.
Number 3 is the carpenter.
I actually lined that guy up correctly.
Yeah, we got 1 out of 3 lined up correctly. Okay, well my arrow wasn't so good there, but you get the idea. So let's see how we figured this out. These clues were pretty tricky. The astronaut is an only child. Well, that doesn't seem too helpful. And earns the least. What? How is that going to help us? Number 3 is married to number 1's sister and earns more than the builder. Aha! We just learned that number 1 has a sister, which means number 1 is not an only child. So number 1 is not the astronaut. That's how that helped, right?
Yeah.
And also, since the astronaut earns the least, and it says number 3 earns more than the builder, number 3 can't earn the least. So this second clue tells us that number 1's not the astronaut, and number 3 is not the astronaut. So that only leaves...
Number 2.
Number 2 is the astronaut. Okay? Now we have to figure out of number 1 and number 3, who was the builder and who was the carpenter. But it says number 3 earns more than the builder. So number 3 can't be the builder. And we only had one choice left, right?
Yep.
So who was the builder?
The builder was number 1.
Number 1, and number 3 was the carpenter. Okay, good. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. That was a fun little afternoon video, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Good job.